Good morning. If you're watching this video, I'm here to show you how to modify my overhaul mod. I'm going to put a link in the description how to download the program you'll need to modify it. It's a very short video. You can click on it, watch it. Once it's downloaded and I pull up the program, you can come back to this video and we'll start from there. So first thing you want to do is go to your the folder where all your mods are. So you go to Program Files, Steam Apps, Common, Total War Shogun 2, and then Data. Here's all your modifications. If you've downloaded my overhaul mod, it'll say Fourstrider Japan. What you want to do is make a copy of it real quick. And where did it go? Try that again. Oh, we gotta hit paste. Starting a little early this morning. All right, Fourstrider Japan copy. We'll rename it. Put an underscore and then whatever you want at the end, your name, just so you know it's separate from the overhaul. All right, now we're going to open up the program from the video I linked called Pack File Manager. We're going to open that copy. So I'm just going to go to Shogun 2, Data. There it is, Fourstrider Japan mod.pack. All right, I'm going to start off the video with the easy stuff. And then towards the end, I'm going to go back and hit the more advanced modifications, like the scripting. So we'll start from the top, KV fatigue. This is your fatigue in game, sorted by value here. The negative value is good. It's you're refreshing yourself. The positive value is you're getting more fatigued. So you can see the only negative values. There's not very many. Walking, I changed that to -1. I think in the game it's like 1, +1. Idle is -10. Idle in a building is -12, and so on. You can go through and edit that. It's pretty self-explanatory. KV morale. This is the morales tables. So I haven't changed. The only thing I changed on this, which is actually a pretty big change, is the morale base. So the morale base is an invisible morale value. So if your unit's got 30 morale and it's showing in the game on the bar, you've got 30 morale. Well, I set the base to 32. So your total morale actually is going to be 62. The reason I did that is so the fights, the battles last a lot longer. It's really hard in my mod to get the enemy to rout. I mean, they've got to get down to like 10 men, or you have to, slaughter most of their army, and then all these other modifiers will kick in. So if you don't like that, you can just change that to 15 or back to 0. 0, I think, is what the vanilla game was at. And actually, you know what? I'm going to show you real quick. So if you right click on this icon up here, click Pack File Manager, you can open up a second version of the program. And then we will just open a CA pack. We'll open up Data. This is the vanilla game. Everybody has this pack. And then we'll open up the DB. Now there's a lot more stuff in this, obviously, than my modification. We'll go to the morale. KV morale, and then you can compare. Where are you? Okay, yeah. So the base game has it as 0. So you can compare anytime you're trying to change something. You can pull up the data pack and compare it to the base game, and kind of get an idea of what you're doing. KV rules table. So this is just random rules in the game. I think the only thing I changed on this was There's a value here. Here it is: climbing walls, fall chance. So when the enemy's climbing the castle walls, if they're an Ashigaru, they have a slightly higher chance of falling off the wall. I actually edited this and increased it very slightly. So everyone knows Shogun 2 is, not like any other Total War game. People just scale walls and they're in the castle. There's no challenge. There's no ladders. There's no breaking through the castle gates. So I didn't want to make it too high because the AI is going up that wall regardless. So I made it a little bit higher, so you have a little bit more of an advantage in a castle. KV special ability effects. So all your special abilities in the game, this is the values of their effect. So we'll just give a couple examples here. Inspire unit. So I doubled pretty much all the ability effects. For the most part, just doubled them. So Inspire unit gives 6 melee attack. In the base game, it gives 3. Marksmanship, I think it gives 10. I made it 20. Actually, no, it gives 15 in the base game. I gave that 5 more. And then these two I doubled, the morale and the reload rate. So you can make these anything you want. And this is when your general inspires, whichever enemy or whichever friendly unit you want to inspire. It gives them these stats. And then rapid advance speed is 1.8. I think in the base game it's 1.4, so I increased it a little bit. So if you use rapid advance ability, you just run a little bit faster. Pretty self-explanatory. Agent to agent abilities. So this is this gives your agents the ability to bribe, assassinate, all that. So you can't really delete. So if you want to delete like bribery, where are you? Let's just sort by agent. Metsuke can bribe, default value 1. So I'm going to show you in a lot of ways you can just click on the side of the line and then hit the delete button and it'll delete the line completely. But since this is in the base game, if you delete it, it's just going to use the one from the base game. So if you want to get rid of Metsuke can bribe, you just make that 0. And now Metsuke cannot bribe. Agent to agent attributes. This is like the strength of their abilities, what we just went over previously. There's really not much to it. You can decrease it a little bit if you want to increase it a little bit. Agents. So this is a pretty big table. So this is your move points for all your agents. So let's use Metsuke as an example. Move points 30. You can increase that, reduce that. Line of sight. Zone of control. Obviously, Metsuke has 0 zone of control. Now your general has a 15 zone of control. This is the little red area around your general to where the enemy can't pass through it unless they attack you. And your admiral is going to be your ships. So you can increase it, decrease it. The game does funny things when you increase it or when you make it too big. So I'm pretty sure I left this as vanilla. Let's go back to Metsuke here. What else do we have? Faction total cap. So this is the amount of agents you can have total in the game. I have it set to 12. Now, I've completely reworked how the agents are recruited and how they work. So the more agents you get, the more expensive their actions cost. So if you recruit up to 12 agents, unless you're rolling in money, you're not really going to be able to afford to use them all. The cost is another thing. So in the base game, they're 1,000, I think. I made them 100,000. And what that does is, the reason they're 100,000 is I've got 3 technologies on the tech tree that reduce each one of the 3 reduce the cost by 32%. So if you know math, 32 times 3 brings it down to 4,000 per agent. What that does is makes the beginning and the early middle of the game have almost no agents. Every major faction is going to start out with 1 agent, and that's all you're going to have till you can finish the tech tree. And the AI will finish that tech tree, and they will start recruiting, late mid to late game. So agents will come back. It's just you don't have to worry about them all game. You're not microing them all game. it makes, I think, for a little bit more fun play style. What else do we have? The rest of it's just the audio for recruitment and stuff. All right. Ancillary to effects. This is the retainers that your general gets. He gets 3 at the bottom of his general card. As he levels up, he'll get maxed out at 3. You can kind of go through this and maybe look by the effect. You can sort it by the effect, and I thought the base game had them way too weak, so I pretty much doubled them all. So they're not terribly strong by doubling them. Some of them are kind of strong, but it's really luck of the draw there. But you can go through and edit this. Now, if you don't like my ancillaries at all and you want to go completely back to vanilla, easy way to do it, just delete and then save. Now it's just going to use the vanilla ancillary to effects. Battle entities. So I've got 2 battle entities. I've got the base game, what it's created, and then I've got my custom ones here. So every unit in the game has an entity that you'll change in the unit stats, unit land stats table, and it's gonna allow you to, let's say the ninja, all the ninja in the game are gonna have the Shogun Ninja man entity. This is where you can edit walk speed, run speed, acceleration, deceleration, charge speed, crawl speed, charge distance, commence run, charge distance dot pose. I'm reading up here if you're not following along. The radius. This is how they will when they hit the line, whether they're going to go into a ball or try to eclipse the enemy, try to stand together, and then mass is really cool. This is how much knockdown power they have. So obviously when you get up into the horses, they've got a lot more mass than these are just the regular foot soldiers. So they've got a lot of knockdown power, as they should. They're horses. Height I don't mess with at all. I don't know if it works or not. I used to mess with it in Rome. I know it worked. Hit points. Now the hero units have this man entity, and I believe the base game is 2 hit points. I actually reduced that down to 1, and I increased the size of the hero units to make them more worth it. And then my new entities are from my legendary units. The horse, I just created 1 horse entity, and then 1 for my legendary infantry, and I obviously made them pretty much the best. Increased the mass. Building chains to slots. So each building has a category. And you use this in creating, you'll use it in creating traits. You'll use it in creating events. So obviously all the archery buildings are in the archery chain category. I did create a new category. There is 4 coin. That's the development office, the mint, and what is it? The rice storage for extra food. So if you see those buildings in there, they're on this chain. All three of the port chains are technically one category. It's the base show port. Let's see, building chains, tables. The only reason I brought this one over is because I created my new building chain at the bottom here. Chain category made it money. It's obviously it's not an encyclopedia because I didn't make an encyclopedia for it. Building culture variants. So this is just pick a fort here. So battlefield building, that doesn't do anything. Everything's archery range. That's not used. Art piece. This is the the picture, the icon you see at the bottom. Description. Each building has its own description file that you can edit, and this just directs this building to that description file. Icon and art piece. Icon and art piece are going to be similar. Actually, icon I think is when you go to your tech tree and it shows you what building that tech unlocks. That's the picture it uses. It's both the same picture. It's pointing at the same file. Let's see. Building description text. This is just a list of the descriptions, like I said. If you wanted to create a new description for a new building, you would add a new key and then go down to your text and add a new text file. Building effects. This is a big table, so this is all the effects of your buildings. Now, in order to redo the technology tree, the tech tree is pretty much the spinal cord of the game. So you can't just move stuff around. So in order to create a technology tree like I did, I had to create all new buildings because I had to get rid of the old technologies completely so I can create my new ones, and then any building or unit that required that technology now is not usable. So I had to create a new building, a new unit. So anytime you see, most of them have an F at the end. So if you see, obviously this is the dry dock, the normal vanilla version, which looks like I took it out. But the normal vanilla version doesn't have the F at the end. So if you see two buildings, let's see if I can give you an example here. Created a bunch of buildings. It looks like I deleted all the examples I could give you. But you can see all the ones with the F. This is the new buildings I created. The kitchen, obviously, that's a brand new building that I created as well. But you can go through all these effects. You just have to use your best judgment on it. I created hundreds of new effects too, so that's something you'll have to play around with. If you like an effect from one building and want to put it on another, the easiest way is to find that building here, find the effect, and then just click it, hit Control C, copy it, go down to the building you want to put it on, hit Control V. If you want to add an effect and not overwrite an effect, you just click a line here, clone rows. There we go. And then Control V, we'll paste it. Table for errors. And then obviously you want to change the value. Agent XP Mod Ninja. Boom, there you go. Building faction variants. This is only used for the Automo clan. They've got a few buildings that are unique to them. So this overwrites other buildings. I'm not going to go into that. Building faction-wide effects. So your building effects affect locally. Your faction-wide effects are all the effects that affect globally. So like research points. Let's just sort by effects. Okay, here's a big one. So I created in my mod an effect that increases your upkeep for all of your units. The more castles and military buildings you build. So you can't just expand super quick like you can in the vanilla game and win the game in 60 turns. You've got to slow down. You've got to grow your economy, and then you can slowly expand. Because if you expand too fast, the upkeep for your army is going to get out of control, and you're not going to be able to afford a large enough army to stay alive. I tried my hardest to make the game difficult all the way to the end. Now I don't know if I succeeded in that or not, but It's definitely more difficult than the vanilla game, mid to late game, I think. What else is in here? Research bonus, civil, military, and then all. So can't figure that out, you're in trouble. Trade income mod, this increases your trade income. I created, so I have a bunch of specialty buildings, so there's only one of a kind. And I gave them each, on the level 3, I gave them each a special effect, and that is to reduce the recruit time for like siege units, ships, Ronin, ninja, monks, matchlock, katana, cavalry, global. So if you capture like the warhorse breeders and Kai, so this is Takeda's capital. If you capture it, you level it up to level 3. Your cavalry are going to have one less turn to recruit. So I'm pretty sure they take 2 or 3. So then they'll take 1 or 2 turns to recruit, which is actually really strong. So it makes taking key buildings more valuable. Building level armed citizenry. This is your garrison. So garrison, you can overwrite because they have the little IDs here. You can overwrite vanilla because the game looks at the ID first, and then it applies what you have next to the ID. So if you want to create new garrisons, you just add a row, and then just 7077. Go up. You just basically want to put a number in that's not taken. It does not matter what the number is. Well, it's got to be, I think, 4 digits or less, but it cannot be, and it'll tell you. So if I do 7076, it's going to give you an error because I've already got 7076. Let's delete that. But you would select the building that you want to provide the garrison, and then you will select the unit that you want garrisoning that unit. Priority is, so if you have, say a building's got 10 garrison units, your max unit total's 20, and say you've got 15 recruited units in the building. So it's only going to be able to choose from 5 out of the 10 garrison. Priority will give it, will you'll be able to tell the game what unit you want priority over the other. And I'm pretty sure it goes from lowest to most important to highest to least important. Could be wrong there. Building level required technology. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is the required tech to build this building. There's a technology. Anything with the F in it, that's from the new technology tree that I've created. And most of them are named properly. Some of them I changed the name on afterwards, but I think they're pretty easy to figure out. Just by looking at the building that they unlock, you can compare it to the actual mod itself. Building levels. This is the base. This is the base part of the mod where your buildings start. This is how you create. This is where you start if you want to create a new building. So you can put it in its own building chain. You want to set the level properly. So if you're creating a new building and it's the base level, it's got to have 0, and then level 1, and level 2, level 3, level 4. That tells it what level, what comes next. Now there's also upgrade junctions, which we'll get to, and that also takes effect. But you want to make sure it's in the right order here. Create time, that's self-explanatory. Create cost, self-explanatory. Upkeep cost. I tried to make buildings have an upkeep cost, but that does not work in Shogun 2. I haven't tried to do happiness or repression or anything like that. Only in capital. I have not tried to use that either. So I don't know. A lot of this stuff is remnants from older Total War games. that might not work, but you can test it out, see if it works. Make a specific type of building only available in your capital. Destruction Terminator. So this prevents you from destroying the building. So obviously, if it's a base, if it's like a level 1, you're not allowed to destroy the building because there's nothing to go back to. Faction unique. This makes so I changed this from the vanilla game. So the Hunting Lodge, Jiu-Jitsu Dojo, Proving Grounds. The vanilla game, you could make as many as you wanted. If you check faction unique, that means you can only have one. Once you build one, you either have to destroy it to build it in a new place, or you're not going to be able to build it in a new place. Religion requirement requires you to have that religion to build the building. First in world bundle. So this links to the bundle effects that you can create on your own if you'd like. But basically, if you're the first clan in your game to build this specific building, you're going to get that first in world bundle, and that's an effect that stays with you for the rest of the game. Resource requirement. This is what resources are required to build the building. And then when you do create a new building, make sure, same thing with the garrison, you want to make sure it has a unique index. Easiest way to do that is to sort this whole table by unique index. Go down to the bottom, 6106. Okay, so make your new building 6107, 6108. You know it's not taken. Damage model, I don't think is used. Yeah, it is. And not in the regular campaign. So this is a different model when it's damaged. In Shogun, I think all it does is just puts a little pillar of smoke when a building's damaged. Building units allowed. This is how you recruit your units. So if you want to, let's say my legendary units, for example, I actually have these here to where you can recruit them at, where are they? So these are all my legendary units that are created. There's 12 of them, one for each major faction capital. You can recruit, well, they can be recruited at level 3 specialty site, or Awari doesn't have a specialty site, so I made their own farming chain. But what I did was I restricted all the major clans from being able to recruit them. Only a minor clan can recruit a legendary unit. You can still, now the legendary units are going to be garrisoned at each one of your capitals that you take over that the enemy has. They'll be garrisoned there no matter what. So you'll be able to play them if you're defending that province that they reside in. Eventually, you will be able to get one of these. I have a dilemma that will pop up if you have a level 3 site, and then you have the corresponding technology researched. So like the Tasa, the Yumi Samurai, the Bow Samurai, and from the Chosakabe's capital. If you captured their capital, you have this rank 3, and then I believe it's going to be linked to Master Archery. If you have all 3 of those, you will get a dilemma that pops up that will allow you to purchase this unit. That dilemma will only pop up once. It'll never pop up again. So if you get this unit through that dilemma and you let it die, then you can't get it for the rest of the game. Also, you cannot get your own unit. So if Satsuma, that's the Shimazu in the Satsuma province, they've got their own legendary Katana Samurai. If you are the Shimazu, you will never be able to recruit or use the Satsuma Katana Samurai, except for the garrison, because that event will not pop up for you. It'll pop up if you take over any other of the 11 capitals. So I tried to make like a boss fight, and they are very good units. Some of them are absolutely insane. They're really fun to play around with. You do have to, in order to get the dilemma to pop up, you have to capture that capital. So you have to face up against this legendary unit in order to earn it. And then the XP, this is how much XP they're going to get when you recruit them from that specific building. The main thing you want to do is make sure that if you're changing these, it has a unique ID here. You can change one that already has an ID. You can change to whatever building you want and whatever unit you want. And here's an example of, this is the base vanilla building here. This is the new one I had to create because of the tech tree. So if you make this building recruit a unit, it is not going to work because this building no longer exists in this mod. You have to use the one with the F at the end in order to get it to work. And that's because that was the only way for me to redo the tech tree. And that's another thing. If you're going to combine another mod with this and it requires a base building that my mod doesn't have, that mod's not going to work because you're not going to be able to recruit that unit. But once we're done here and you watch this whole video, you will be able to go into their mod and copy and paste my building into their mod, and now they'll both work together. Building upgrade junctions tables. So this is what building upgrades to what. So you start, let's do the port. You start with the port 0 coastal village. I have 3 different ports in the game, so I have 3 different options: harbor, Nanban, Nanban, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, and fishing. Harbor is the vanilla port, and I actually converted the vanilla port into the military. So even though this is the vanilla port and it says trading port, it is not the trading port. This is the second level of the military port. There's a third level of the military port, and then dry dock is the 4th level, which I had to create 3 different ones. This is the base one, this is the Catholic, and this is the Iko-Iki. So C and I, and then the base, this is all the Buddhist clans, this is the F. CI agent type distribution profile. So this changes how your agents, been a while since I've edited this. I've been working on this mod all summer, so forgive me if I'm trying to learn this stuff again while I'm going over it. This will change how an agent reacts or acts, an AI agent. So if the enemy has an agent, you can make it defensive, standard, or aggressive. Aggressive means the agent will come into your territory and start harassing your other agents or harassing your armies, your castles, your provinces. I changed most of them to defensive and standard. I've seen a lot of aggressive stuff here. Okay, so there's 2 values you can change. So capital centric, I believe this keeps them at this will keep them closer to home, so the enemy agents don't travel out. But I believe it's chosen at random. I have it set to randomize all that stuff. These next few tables I'm going to go through are going to have to do with AI. This is the value of the buildings. So each building has an economic, education, happiness, military, prestige value, and you can adjust all these. All these are going to do is let the AI know which unit is more valuable in which category, and it kind of gives them a path on how to upgrade their provinces. So if you do create a new building, you do want to make a new line in this table. Otherwise, the AI will not build your building. It'll all be valued at 0. If you're play my mod a bunch and you think there's a building you're not seeing the AI build enough, you can go in here and adjust those values. This is the budget. This is how much money they'll spend on agents, on army, construction, diplomacy, navy. You see I nerfed navy unless they're a navy a pirate, which is a navy faction. So it's actually really I managed to do what I wanted to do, and what I've been trying to do for years on this game but failed at was make it so the enemy doesn't spam ships. I wanted the Mori clan to spam ships. I wanted them to be the dominant naval force. And the last game that I played just before this video, it was a 94 turn battle, naval battle with the Mori, and it was a pain in the ass. And almost no other navy on the field. When there was, it was only a few ships. So other factions will use those ships to make land invasions. But you can basically adjust how much money that they put towards these specific things. Building synergies. So if an AI builds, and it's going to make me spread this out. If an AI builds so if an AI from your building context value, or your building context value, your AI is going to build a building. Once they build a building, it's going to give a potential building chain key. It's going to give them something else to build on top of it. And you can set the value here. So let's say if the AI through the algorithm builds a cavalry, builds a stables, they're going to be more likely now to build a Yari, or a sword or archery. Actually, they're going to be less likely to build a Yari because the sword and archery are higher. Or wait, no, I'm on the wrong line. Do this. All right, so all three of those are high. So this just makes it more likely that the AI will build a second or third building along with this one. That way they're not building, like a cavalry requires these three buildings to recruit units. Otherwise, you're just recruiting light cav. So if you don't do this when you make a new building, and like that would be useless because they would just be pumping out light cav all day. What is this? So this I don't know exactly what this one does, but obviously I changed with the vanilla ones with the buildings I created just so it matched. It may have something to do with how the AI chooses to build the buildings, maybe how much money they want to spend on it. I'm not sure what that means, but everything seems to be working fine without changing anything on that. Okay, so this is, when you play the base vanilla game, or you play this game a lot, there are specific factions that are peaceful every single time you play, or they're aggressive and treacherous every single time you play. Every campaign you load up, they're the same exact personality. This randomizes every faction in the game when a new game started. It randomizes their personality. Any minor faction, all the major factions' personalities are gonna stay the same. But any minor faction is gonna be randomized. When their daimyo dies in battle, it will randomize again their personality. So you could have a really aggressive. Let's say the Besho clan is really aggressive. And you kill their daimyo, they could all of a sudden become peaceful. and they will retreat back into their provinces and just defend it and not fight anybody. So it makes for it makes for a really interesting game. This is the part I really like a lot. And this is just the groups. So this is very similar to this. This randomizes the factions. This randomizes each group, and then this applies that group to the faction. And that's just to create the group. So this is the personalities table. You can go in and change the main faction's personalities. Like I said, they do not randomize. They are specifically set. So you can go and change their, like the Hattori are aggressive with their agents, their agent distribution. The recruitments recruit heavy. So they're going to recruit a lot of agents, and they're going to be really mean about it. So you can change that to defensive, and you can change that to so they don't recruit religious heavy. Oh, okay, no, ninja heavy. So this just means they're going to recruit more ninjas than the other agents, which makes sense. So I don't think, there's no. You just make it standard, so they recruit all three. The BOS, anytime you see the BOS and the GEM, those are for the campaigns that are not going to work with this mod. So if you do want to edit the BOS, which I think is Rise of the Samurai, or no, Fall of the Samurai's BOS, and then GEM is Rise of the Samurai. So if you're going through a different mod and you want to mod either of those campaigns, you're going to want to look for the corresponding GEM or BOS, and it's pretty much in every table. Budget policy. What options we've got? Anarchist, Brute, Pacifist, Pirate, Religious, Waco, and Danban. How they're going to spend their money. That goes back up to the budget we went over. Character skill manager tree. So, as far as I know, they pick skills at random. You can't really tell the AI how to build out their tree. Construction policy, that goes back to the building. Military behavior. So this is how no, military aggressiveness. Okay, so this is where you get peaceful, which will be low. You get, I can't remember what all the ones are called. Aggressive. This is where you can change that, and you can actually set it. There's low, medium, high, very high. You can set, like, say you wanted to make the date something very specific. Now the game has it medium to high, which means they will never be peaceful. They will always be either medium or high, and you can change that however you want. Military behavior, I'm not 100% sure what the difference is here. This probably has something to do, and you'll forgive me, at one point I did know what all this meant, but like I said, I've been doing this all summer, and I pretty much reworked the whole game, so by the time I learn, dive into something else, I'm forgetting half the shit I already learned. Reliability policy, this is how reliable they are in diplomacy. Religious conversion, that's how often they're going to try to convert other provinces to their religion. Allowed for random selection, so this allows them to randomize from that randomizer that I created. Building synergy policy, Looks like it's pretty much all the same. All right, so we're kind of, this is more the advanced stuff. So this sets a value for specific behaviors, and it took me a very long time of trial and error to get through this table. And unfortunately, trial and error, over and over and over, it's hard to remember the final result. It works the way I want it to. Trade route rating behavior. So obviously that's rating a trade route. Set that to 1, so you don't get 1,000 ships on your trade route. It's annoying. I did eliminate the pop up, so it does no longer pops up, but it's still on the little side scroll. It shows you if you're being rated or not. All right, so this is a percentage. So I'm pretty sure if you add this up, 40%, 15%, 15%, was that 30? That's 70 plus 30. Yeah. So these 4 here, construction bias, economic, education, happiness, military. You shouldn't have to mess with the construction stuff, because the construction stuff now in this game is mainly controlled in what we already previously went over. But anytime you see 4, a few things like this, and if they all add up to 100%, when you edit this, you need to make sure your edit adds up to 100%, not 90%, not 110%. Let's see if we can find something that's actually used. Desire. This just changes the AI, how the AI acts for the most part. Okay, I'm trying to find something that I remember exactly what it does. Navy maximum, Navy minimum. So one of these is, I believe it's this, is how many units they will build before they split off into a separate stack. So there's one for Navy and one for Army. And you can skip through this video while I'm not talking. I'm trying to find something useful for you guys. Yeah, recruitment, minimum new Army size, new Navy size. So these 2 are the values. Now, I did change pretty much all of this table. At one point, I learned what each and every one did, and I adjusted it. But right now, I don't know 100% for sure what they do, because I forgot. It was probably a few months ago when I edited this table. But this I do remember. Minimum new Army size. So this is how many units that a faction will create before it splits it off into its own army. I increased these a little bit, and then same with the Navy. I think this was set to 2 in the vanilla game, and you'd always end up with a bunch of little tiny 2 stacks of ships. And you're just playing whack-a-mole all day. Now you still have to do that with the Maury, but I kind of made them a pain in the butt navally. surrender fort bias. This is so this is if you take over their one of their provinces, how likely they are to run away and not come back. So pretty sure the max value here is 100. I made it 75. You don't want to make it too low, otherwise they'll be suicidal and come back and try to take their fort. With not enough men, and it's suicide at that point. It's kind of dumb, so you don't want to make that too low, but that's what that does. Couple pages like this. So this I don't believe this does. Yeah, it does. So this kind of tells the AI where to focus their research. Now, obviously, my technology tree is like 60% bigger than the vanilla version, so I had to create new ones. But I pretty much copied and pasted my tech over the old tech, and did not get into too much of how the AI is going to research. Eventually the AI is going to play long enough. Eventually the AI is going to research everything. So it's not that important. Campaign. Okay, so this is a pretty massive table. This is what I use to increase the difficulty, to make the AI have an unfair advantage over you, to make it a lot harder. And the main things I change are industry, global. You see, human is not checked. So 3 is legendary difficulty, 2 is very hard, 1 is hard, and so on. So I don't play anything lower than this. So I just this increases the growth per town that the AI has base on top of the buildings that they build. Not only that, I restrict them in another table, if I get to it, to where they cannot set their taxes super high. So because the vanilla game, they'll set their taxes super high, their growth is really low, and by the time you take, they don't really get bigger as the game goes on, and it gets so easy towards the middle of the game just to steamroll the rest of the map, and that's what I was trying to avoid. So I'm pretty sure I balanced it. If you play perfectly, and grow your provinces perfectly, and use growth and use all the tools that I gave you in the mod, then you'll be just slightly above the AI in growth. However, they have a recruitment cost. So let's go to 3. They have a recruitment cost -50. This is legendary. I usually play very hard, so let's use 2. So -40%. All their units are going to cost 40% less than yours. And then upkeep costs. Where are you at? That's naval. I increased it actually to try to get them to stop building ships. There's the land. So their upkeep is 60% less than the players. Now they will still get hit with the upkeep penalty per castle that they build and military building, and they tend to build a lot more military buildings than a player would. A player is usually going to build, one province for your melee troops, one for your bow, and then the rest economic and growth, so you can, pay for larger armies. The AI is not going to think that way, so you really have to give them that advantage. Otherwise, they're towards the end of the game, they're going to dwindle down, and you're going to be, you're going to have a major advantage over them. I wanted to make the game difficult all the way through. So this is just where your towns and ports are. Don't worry about that. Campaign variables. This is a lot of stuff in it. Your auto resolve. I did not mess with any of the auto resolve stuff. That's probably the one thing I did not go in and really work on. If you want to use, auto resolve's all up to you. whether you want to use it or not. You know, sometimes the game gives you an unfair advantage with auto resolve, and you know, it's up to you whether you want to take that advantage or not. I generally, if it's giving me an unfair advantage, I will fight the fight and take the losses. See if I can pick out some useful information here. There's your honor effects for acquiring a vassal. Becoming Christian, you lose 2 honor. Being Christian, -1. Crushing defeat, -1. Dishonor alliance, you get it. Heroic victory, you can change those values. Okay, there is... I thought it was in here. Your trade. There's something that I adjusted in trade that made a world of difference. I think it's in this table. Age of adulthood. 14. So that's the youngest a boy can become a general. You can make that lower. However, if you make that lower, like some clans automatically have, you know, somebody that's 15 that hasn't come of age yet. I think somebody that's 13 that hasn't come of age yet. So if you make it any lower than that, they'll come of age immediately when you start up the game. General promotion costs. This is base game's 1,000. This is how much a general costs when he pops up to recruit, and I do not know why, but I'm fairly certain the lower this number is, the more often the AI will recruit generals, and I don't know why, and I'm fairly certain I'm correct on that because I increased it by a lot and played a little bit, and the AI was not recruiting any generals. I reduced it from 1,000 to 750, and I feel like they recruit a lot of generals now. So I like facing off against a lot of generals. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here. I mean, you can kind of, you know, use your deduction skills to figure this out. Commerce, here it is. Okay, so trade commerce rating reduction per ship, I made that 0.05. I'm pretty sure the game was like 0.9, which is, this is 5%. 0.9 would be 90%. So basically it is not valuable to raid with more than 1 ship. It doesn't get you anything extra to raid. I tried to reduce raiding as much as possible, and it works. They raid, but not near as often. Here we go. Is this it? No, where is it? Well, somewhere in here, I don't want to spend all day looking for it, is a value. I'm probably staring right at it. I'm going to talk about it because it's right there. There's a value that when you put a trade ship on a trade node, when you put 1 trade ship, it's 100% value. But when you put 2 trade ships, the second ship is, you know, only 90%. And then the third ship's only 90%. I reduced that a lot. So more ships doesn't get you as much. It's still worth it. However, you no longer make you no longer make much money now selling. How do I say this? Selling your goods to yourself. In the game, it used to be like 90. You would get like 80 or 90% of the value of the goods if you didn't have a trade partner to take your goods. Now it's like 5%. So if you've got trade nodes and no trade partners, you're not going to be making money. You're probably going to be losing money just on the upkeep of the ships. So it's going to make trading extremely valuable. So if you lose a trade partner, you have to find another one. And then the more trade partners you get, the more ships you can put. And when you go into the game, you go into the trade tab, highlight your resources, and it'll show you what percentage of the resource you're trading. If you are trading under 100%, do not put any more trade ships on that node, because it's not going to get you anything extra. I mean, it's going to get you. It's not going to be worth it. Basically, your upkeep, your ship's going to cost more than the value you're going to get. So you want to try to balance that to where it's just under 100% on every resource. Now, as you get more trading partners, you're going to see it's going to be harder and harder to maintain just under 100%, which is good for you. You'll be able to load more trade ships onto the node. It's so much better than vanilla. In the vanilla game, you just build 10 trade ships, throw it on the node, and forget about the rest of the game. Now you actually, you want to kind of play it smart, pay attention. This is another AI. I'm not going to spend as much time on this. Grab it real quick and see if I can see anything. I have changed all these tables that I'm skipping over. I have adjusted them. I just cannot remember. I have it all pretty much written down. Not written down, but typed out what they do somewhere. Let's see. Okay, so this is the new dilemmas and incidents I created. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to know, I'm not going to go over each dilemma, but you might see something here. The best option to pick on my new dilemmas. So I have 42 new dilemmas. 12 of those are for the legendary units only, and then 30 of them are little stories, kind of, I guess. Some of them are more dilemmas that will give you two options. It is not going to tell you. None of my dilemmas are going to tell you what it's going to do for you when you pick it. So you'll have to make your own best choice, and then, maybe one round later or 12 rounds later, you're going to get some kind of event that's going to happen that will be good or bad depending on the decision you chose. And I'm not really going to go over how to create a dilemma. This is probably the hardest thing to do, honestly. Scripting is easier than this. It's just there's so many things to create one dilemma. I will never create another dilemma again. That's for damn sure. But this is dilemmas. Incidents. So you create the dilemma, and then you get the incident. You create the dilemma, you link it to an incident here on the events dilemma incidents tables, and then you create the incident. And then these are like condition unique, so this incident will only happen once. Variance chance 100%. So all my incidents have a variance chance of 100%. The dilemma, all right, I'm gonna go over it a little bit here. The dilemma variance chance is not 100%. So I set certain values, like artifact. This dilemma requires you to have a castle, requires you to have 7,500 money, and conditions. Let's see. Got them all out of freaking order. Okay, it requires you to research this technology. It requires it to at least be 32 rounds in the game. Condition owns, that means you own this castle, building chain castle, which everybody owns. That's just default. Variance follow-up chance. This is the chance that your incident will follow up to the choice you pick. 100%. Condition rounds until next. So it'll wait 60 rounds to give you this, to start maybe giving you this dilemma again. There's a 5% chance per turn if you meet the rest of these values. There's anything... This takes a lot of trial and error because the payloads are going to be like units. Well, these are my legendaries. That's how much the selection cost you. Incident payloads. This is going to show you the duration. Whether there's... It gives you a unit or a rebellion. Seem to find right now. Oh, there they are. Rebellion. I'm going to skip the rest of this. Unit qualities. This is if you create a new unit, you've got to create quality. And you can look at other units and see what their quality is and then create your own number in between how powerful you think that unit is. I did reduce the quality on all the ships. It was in my efforts to reduce ship spam. I came at it from 100 different angles and I got it to work. Character experience skill tiers. So this is your general skill tiers. Right, is it? Yeah, it is. All right, so this is the experience threshold. And then this is how many skill points you're going to get. So let's actually sort this. Where'd you go? Nope. Maybe if we do that. There we go. We don't want the... that's for the Fall of the Samurai campaign. We're not doing that. So skill tier level 0 is actually 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, 6 stars. This is kind of complicated to figure out. So you would think that, okay, 2 stars requires 100 XP. 3 stars requires 300 XP. No. It is 2 stars requires 100 XP. 3 stars, you subtract this into this, so you're at 200. So 3 stars requires 200. You subtract 300 from 700, it's 400. So the next level is 400. Subtract that, and so on. So this is technically the total XP all-time earned. And then you can add or remove skill points. I made it so I've got 3 branches in my character skills. I made it so you can stay on one branch and complete that entire branch, top to bottom, with one general. Or you can split it up, but it's basically the same amount of skill points in each branch. I think it was like 30 something. Can't remember. Oh, what is this? Skill level 2 effects. This is your skill tree and the effects and the values and whether it's faction wide. So all of my effects start with 4. Some of them I have different names. I created this before I went through and refined and changed the names of the text, but it's not. Most of them are pretty similar. And if I changed one and you can't find it here, look at the effects and look at the effects of the skill you're trying to change, and you can kind of deduce which one it is. The eco, I actually had to create a whole new freaking chain just for the eco, but it follows the same process except it has eco in front of it. And this is the same as all the other effects. Now, keep in mind when you're doing building effects, trait effects, skill effects, faction effects, not all effects are going to work properly. So you want to test them out. So if you put And I see a lot of mods out there. People put effects on stuff that say in the game, they'll say they're giving you that effect, but it doesn't actually work. So you want to test it out first. You may be able to get that effect to work. You just have to go through and create a new effect for it. And you have to create it the way a trait is made to be, effect is made to work. Or this one here is two different ways, because if you do a faction-wide effect and don't check faction-wide, its trait's not going to work. So keep that in mind. Trial and error. Make your changes, load the game up, see if it works. This is the tech tree, what node connects to what. So initial descent tiers, if the node is if there's a blank space in between two techs, then you'll drop it down one. This is the little line you see on the tech tree in between the technologies. You can change what they look like. Parent link position is the top tech. Child link position is the bottom tech. 0 is right underneath the tech or right above the tech. 1 is to the right. That's a positive number, so it's to the right. And then -1 is to the left. That is tech tree is the very first thing I worked on like 6 months ago, so it's not difficult, but I can't remember how I did it. I basically pushed the old tech tree away from the main campaign. Character skill nodes. Okay, so this is so the tier is what tier, how high or low the tech is. So 0 is like Way of Chi and Bushido. They're at the very top. And then tier is working its way down. Indent, it starts all the way over here at 1, ends all the way over here at like 50. So the indent is going to depend on what position it is left to right. And this is how you will put your skill. And if we go down to mine, there's the 4. You can move techs around. You can move them up, move them down, move left, move them right. Now, if you do move them, you're going to want to change the previous table, the link to link them, because if you move one above the other, it's going to look goofy. Or character skills. What is this? Oh, so this is the base table for creating the skill tree. This is the level. This is the traits level. Okay, so I'm gonna skip over traits for now because that's gonna be towards the end. That's an advanced. Because traits, you're dealing with scripts. It's really not that difficult. So even if you're not good at this stuff, I'd hang out and watch it, or skip to the end and watch it. I'm gonna baby step you through it. It looks intimidating, but it's not too bad. Back to dilemmas. This is the base table for dilemmas. How to create a new dilemma. You start here and create it, and you don't have to fill out a lot of these tables, but you can use mine as an example. Diplomacy attitudes. This is your diplomacy with other clans. You can change what each thing does. Realm divide. I skipped that in campaign configs or campaign variables. So you go back into campaign variables. There is what is it called? Prestige value, I think is what it's called. Prestige value. I made that really freaking high. So Realm Divide is not going to hit until you take over pretty much most of Japan. I kind of pushed Realm Divide as far out as I could. Now, if you hang out and just, take over 5 provinces and just keep hitting turn after turn after turn and not expand, eventually your prestige value will grow. But this is the cap. This is how high how high or low the value will go. The drift is what it will do every turn. So if you're in Realm Divide, it will do -1 every turn. The value, so if you get Realm Divide, you start out as -10, and then it's slowly -1 every turn until it's -200. This is towards every clan. Alliance. So when you create an alliance, it's a value of 110 initially off the bat, and then every turn it's going to subtract 2 from 110 until it hits 60. So your alliances do decay over time, and you can adjust that however you'd like. Marriage, when you marry, when you do a marriage with another clan, it's going to start at 120, and then -2 every turn until it's 50, and so on. State gift, there's 3 values, which I don't know if I uploaded that. There's a max, there's a low, medium, and high value. Somewhere on here, I don't know if I added it or not, but basically what that means is I'm pretty sure the max value is 10k. So if you're doing a state gift, like you're giving another clan money to earn this 120 value, don't give any more than 10k. It's not gonna give you any more diplomacy. Now it will give them more money, so if you're giving that to your vassal because you want them to have more money, and you've got a lot of it, then load them up. Effect bonus value agent junction. Okay, so the effects to your agent's skills? No, that's not right. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. What is this? Oh, this isn't a value table. This is just telling you what each agent can do. I can't remember. You shouldn't have to mess with that table. I apparently created this at some point because it's got 4 in it, but I cannot remember. So these are abilities in the game, in the base game. There's a lot of abilities that units just get. You don't have to enable them, you just get them. Now, I moved all of the abilities off the technology tree and into the character skills tree. And in order to do that, I had to add them to this table and make them become enabled. What this does is if you add your unit to this table, or if you add, not your unit, if you add your ability, the unit ability, wedge formation, to this table with a new effect, you have to create a new effect for it. It will disable that ability on every unit until you get this effect, which you can apply this effect to specific traits. You can apply it to skills. You can apply it to tech. And I'm actually going to start with effects at the base table. So this is when you want to create a new tech, you go to effects. I created a new table, but you go to effects or create a new one, and you create the name for your effect. You can copy and paste. This is what the little icon looks like on your effect. Priority doesn't really matter. I just copy and paste that. And then you save it. You save file manager, pack file manager. You close out of it. You open it back up. Once you do that, you'll go into any one of these here, and your effect will be on this list. And you'll choose your effect, and so each table does something different. So effects are really tricky. There's a lot of different ways that effects work, and effects won't work with traits. Some effects won't work with traits or skills. So if you see an effect you like that works with a trait, you want to kind of narrow down, okay, here's the effect, here's the bonus value, like it's an upkeep mod, and this is the unit it's affecting, and it's in this table. So if you want to create a new one, you can use this. You can use this bonus value on this table for whether it's trait or skills. I hope I'm saying that right, so you guys can understand me. But you can change the unit. You can add a unit to it. So that's mainly for units. This is for unit classes, unit categories, and then unit casts. Effects are tricky. They take a lot of trial and error, but I created... What did I create? 151 effects is what I've created in this mod. Variance triggers. Okay, I'm gonna do traits and experience at the end of the video. This is in a scripting as well. Incidents, we're back to the dilemmas and incidents. This is the base table for the incidents. Loading screens table. I have 17 loading screens that I put into this mod. Did I put them into this mod? I did not put them into this mod. Oh, yeah, I did. Right here, staring me in the face. Oh, I'll be damned. Okay, so I do have a loading screen mod. It's separate from this, but I had enough space on this overall. Somehow I had enough space, and I added all these loading screens. So in order to do a new loading screen, all you're going to do is you'll create a new key, create it in here, category, campaign, or battle land. This is the land. When you load up a land battle, it has the map in the middle. It has a picture around it. That's the picture. Sound event. You just copy and paste this, and then your image file. So if you want to do a new image file, it has to be in DDS format, which if you want to do that, the easiest way is to get GIMP, G-I-M-P. It's a very nice program that I used for most of modding, pictures and stuff. But you can convert any type of picture to a DDS. You want to make sure it's the right resolution. What you'll do is put it in UI, loading screen pictures, default. You put it right here. And then this is leading to that file path. You can create a bunch more. You just have to create new tables for them. Loyalty effects. So some of the effects don't apply to the AI. That's this checkbox. But if you adopt somebody, he's gonna get 1 loyal. Your heir is gonna get 2 loyal. If you bribe a general, it's gonna get -3. Pretty sure I increased that. So on, that's self-explanatory. There is a cap, obviously. I think it's 6, and you probably changed that. Okay, so this sets the cap. The mini cap, I would call it. So bribed is -3. So if a general gets bribed twice, it's not going to be -6. So he's going to stay at -3 because that's the cap. If you fail more than twice, that's the cap. If you fail 5 times, you'll still be at -2. Basically, it's and then I know a lot of people don't like this, upstart generals, where you keep getting new generals and your older generals get more and more less likely to be loyal. I capped that out at 2. So now your old generals, they'll stay at -2 no matter how many generals you create, because I created a building to where you can recruit generals, and if you recruit 100, I didn't want you to have all those generals with no loyalty, basically. Okay, message event screen. These are the every time you end a turn, you'll get a pop-up, or it might not be a pop-up. It might just be on your side scroll, a message. Instant open means that it's going to pop up without you clicking on it. Like trade route rated, and you have to click that check mark over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I unchecked instant open on that, so it is no longer do that anymore. You can go through if there's messages that pop up that you don't particularly want to see every time they pop up. You can try to find it here, and then uncheck that instant open. Requires response. That one is also going to instant open, but it's going to have it, you have to click on something. So I don't think you can uncheck that. You wouldn't want to, because you're going to want to give a yes or no answer or whatever options it's giving you. Missions. So I did not create any new missions. That's the only part of the scripting that actually I changed that. I changed your intro missions. I changed the rewards on them. I did not change the effect. That's all done in scripting. I did activate some missions that were deactivated in the base game for some reason. I thought they were pretty cool missions. I activated them. This is where you can check to activate or deactivate. I did have to deactivate the Nanban missions because of the ports I created. It was giving me all kinds of trouble. So if you like that, let's see if I can find that for you. If you want to turn on the... Find it here. Nope, can't find it. It's on here somewhere. There's 3 of them. There's like east, west, central, or something like that. You can check the generate button, check mark, and they'll start popping up for you again. Naval uniforms. So uniforms are... This one's... I'm gonna skip down to unit uniforms so I get more of an idea here. Okay. So naval uniforms and unit uniforms, they're pretty much the same table. So this is your unit. The uniform name is linked to your uniform faction colors table. So if you want to see if there's any default ones in here. Yeah, so there's default, which basically your uniform colors will match whatever faction you are if you have it set as default. For my legendary units, I created their own uniform that matched that clan that they're, the sets. They're the Tasa Yumi Samurai. They have Chosakabe colors. Even if you recruit them as the Shimazu, they're going to have Chosakabe colors. So I created a new uniform with the primary red, green, blue, and you can Google RGB colors, secondary, and then tertiary colors. And then whether that affects the soldier or the officer. And what you can change the color of the soldier or the officer. I think I inverted a lot of the colors so you can tell which one's the soldier and which one's the officer out of the soldiers. We'll get back to uniform tables here. So that's what uniform does. That directs you to either uniform to faction colors, or if you just copy and paste the default, then you won't have to worry about this table. The file name is... I'm trying not to get these mixed up because this is a little complicated. So you have under your UI, under units. Okay, these are your unit cards. There's icons. Where'd you go? Icons, icon square. No. Go back here. Info's not really used. Recruitment large, recruitment small. These all have photos in them. They're different sizes depending on what's called for. So uniforms is going to pull from... Let's just open up icons. This is going to pull the uniform from here. And the reason I had to do this is the G stands for garrison, is because I wanted the garrison icons to have a little castle next to them.
well, in the base game, they both pulled from the same uniform, so I couldn't separate the two. However, the tricky part is, this is the easy part. Should make a new, uploading a new picture with a G at the end of it and changing this to a G at the end. However, this also pulls from their model. So I had to go to the variant models, and this is the model that they use. And I had to rename them. So I'm going to show you how I did that real quick. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to add from pack. So I want to pull a model from the base game. So the models in the base game are in models2.pack. All right. So we've got variant models. We're going to do down to units. These are all the models that the game uses. So say I am taking a Yari Ashigaru, and I want to create a garrison. I created a garrison unit for him, but now I don't have a model that points to this. So it's going to default to like samurai. It's actually what it defaulted to. So what do I need to do is grab a default model. So let's find Ashigaru. I'll just say Bo Ashigaru. There's soldier unit. There's officer unit somewhere here. There's an officer unit. We'll say dot officer unit. I think the officers are down in samurai. Start with the samurai because most of the officers in this game are samurai. You'll see a lot of officer units here. So you're going to have to pull over both. So you'll find the soldier unit, and then you'll find an officer unit, which is a bandit officer. So you'll, what is it? Double click. Yeah, double click. All right, so I double click both of those, and I click OK. They're going to be down here in green. So then I'm going to right click. I'm going to rename. You have to keep the dot officer unit variant. Okay. So it's going to be this name, whatever you create here on this table, dot officer dot unit slash variant or dot soldier dot units underscore variant. So if you forget to put that in there, it's not going to work. So you'll change the name. Test. And when you hit enter, it's not going to show that it changed. It did change. You can go on to the next one. Rename. I'm not going to do it, but you'll go through and hit you don't want to click on. So if I click on another one again, pack file manager crash. Basically, you want to rename, hit enter, and then click back on units like that. And then once you click on units, then save it. It's very tricky because pack file manager sucks. But once you save it, this will change to test, the name that I changed it to. Now let's go on to the second part of uniforms. Uniforms is a pain in the ass, honestly. Okay, so officer file name is so you have dot soldier dot unit underscore variant, and then you have dot officer dot unit underscore variant. This points to the officer file name, so you can point to a generic officer file name for your officer. The reason you can't point to a generic one here is because this also controls the unit card, which is silly. I think it should be two separate things, and it was saved me a lot of headaches. Standard bearer file name is the person holding the flag. Obviously, you can just delete this, and you will no longer have a standard bearer. Actually, you have to delete it here, and then also in the unit stats table, which we'll get to. Imposter sharing, I don't mess with that. Just copy what's closest to your unit. I can't remember what that does. Unit ability. So we talked about enabling abilities, how to add it to that table to enable it. You have to click here as well. You have to check this box, requires effect enabling on this ability. If you don't do both of those things and create a new effect, and I'm just going to go back to effects real quick and show you. Effect enable ranged effect. So what do I have to do to create this? I had to create this first. I think it's in here. We can sort by effect. Go down to tech, enable. Not in this one. Let's try the next one up. It's in one of these effect bonuses. Probably ability. There we go. Use your brain. There's all your tech enable. So this tech that you created, can't remember which one it was, but it's probably this one. Range effect. You say it enables, and then this is the ability. There's your list of abilities. It enables range effect. Once you save that, the last thing you got to do for the effect is go down to text, and you want to create it is an effect. And there's the base effects if you want to change the name of a base effect, and then there's the new effects. This is effects bundles. So this is the different. This is a bundles effect. So there's the bundles effect is for like first world building. Like you're the first person to build a building, or faction effects. You can go in. It's under effect bundles, not that. So we'll go to 4 effects, and here's where all the effects are. So you've got the description. This is kind of this is code, I guess you want to call it that. So the percent is the value of the effect plus n. I don't know exactly what that means, but this will say plus 10 or plus 5 or whatever your value is. This plus 5 armor for all katana wielding units. Now, if you add a percentage at the end of it, it'll say, plus 5% reload for all artillery or plus 10%. So you can add a percentage at the end of it. This is basically what you want the effect to say. This is not going to change what the effect does. All the text does is describes the effect. All right. Let's go on to projectile trails. Okay, so you got 2 projectile tails here. So you'll see my ninja have a unique effect. You can change the color of that effect. You can change the width. When they throw the bombs, it kind of looks like magic almost. I don't know. I like the look of it. Projectiles tables. This is going to be your projectiles. So if you got an arrow, a gun, these little new ones that I created mostly for my legendary units. I did create some for ninja that are super freaking strong. You go to the vanilla ones. So the way you do this is in unit stats land tables. You'll find the unit. There'll be a primary missile type, and the primary missile types are all listed here. This is where you can edit the primary missile types, or you can just change on the unit table if it's got a Shogun. Say the primary missile type is Shogun Arrow. Wherever the hell it's at, there it is. Say it's Shogun Arrow for your Yari or Yumi Ashigaru, and you want to make it a hero arrow. You want to have all your Yumi Ashigarus have the hero arrow. You can just in the unit stats table or unit land stats table, unit stats land tables. You can change the projectile type just in a drop down box. Now this actually changes what the projectile does. So you could go in here and edit exactly what the projectile does. Shot type is the type of shot it is. Shot type and missile type have to do with the type of shot it is. The missile model, and there's if I click on that, it takes forever to load because there's 1,000 models in the game. Trail trail leads to your projectile trails table. So if you create a new projectile trail, like a new effect, you change that here. If you want this hero arrow to have that new effect you created, you'll change it to, I created these ninja basic, ninja hero. Change to that. Or you can leave it how it is. That changes how the trail of the bullet or the arrow, what it looks like. Effective range. Now we're getting into juicy stuff. So this changes how much range a hero arrow has. Max elevation, so how high it'll go. Muzzle velocity, you can make this really high and make them shoot arrows like bullets. Marksmanship bonus, this is the base bonus. That's going to be invisible in the game. But this is the base underlining value of their marksmanship. Spread. Now, spread is only used if you do change your projectile number. So if we go to hero arrow and change that to 6, now each archer will shoot 6 arrows. But if you do not put a value for the spread, you're not going to know they're shooting 6 arrows because it's all going to come out as 1 arrow. So you make the spread 6. So when they shoot, when you've got 40, I think I made them 80 hero archers. Now they're all shooting 6 arrows, and they've got a 6 spread, and it's going to come out like the movie 300. That's what it's going to look like. Damage. This is how much damage your arrow does. So the base damage arrow does 0.3. The only other arrow that does more damage is the Daikyu arrow, which is for the Chosokabe specific Daikyu Yumi Samurai unit. It does 1 more. It's a little bit stronger. You can make this 10 and take out castle walls with your arrow. Now you won't be able to, anybody that's on the castle wall, you can take it out, but there's another option in the unit stats land tables to where you can actually attack a wall or not. Like most siege units, you could just attack a wall straight up. So this is the penetration. So a lot of like the fire bombs are AP armor piercing, I think. Penetration high is for the cannon, so this is probably whether it'll penetrate through, your whole line or not. Body piercing is really fun. Right now it's only on the heavy gunner. You can put that on any gun and it goes through, everybody in the rank, so you can really do some damage with this. Incendiary, this is how low, medium, high, very high. This is how much your shot burns, and then the blast effect, if it has an effect. So you can increase, like the hand mortars are set to medium. You can set the high. You can set the very high. They'll be a little bit stronger. You do that along with adding some damage to it, adding multiple projectiles with some spread. You're really doing damage. My ninjas right now, if you've noticed, I had to nerf them as much as possible, but it's so cool I had to leave them there. I gave them one. They get 1 ammo, and it is a carpet bomb. They throw 10 projectiles per ninja. Base reload rate time. That's the same thing as the base accuracy. That's how much underlying reload. And I'm pretty sure the higher the number, the worse. So it's the opposite. Yeah, the higher number, the worse your reload is. Weather effects, low, medium, high. This is how the weather is going to affect your weapon. Now, I don't think you can just change this because there's another value that's at the very beginning under what is it? KV rules, I believe it is. KV rules table. You can change the misfire rate and the rain for the matchlocks and the other stuff like that. The rest is just audio. You copy paste to any other projectile. Taxes. I completely redid this one. We're going to ignore the Fall of the Samurai one, so we're going to ignore all this the ones that say this. So we've got extraordinate. This is your super high taxes. This is one level lower. There's normal, low, and then minimal. So your options are your happiness. So we're just let's look at minimal. So your happiness, it doesn't give you any negative modifier, but it does not give you a positive modifier. Your growth taxes. So if you set your slider all the way down to the lowest, it's going to give you 7 growth on all your towns, which in the base game, it gave you like -1. So you couldn't actually gain growth from lowering your taxes, which I thought was stupid because if you lower your taxes, you should grow compared to your neighbors because people are going to want to leave them to come to you. So I made it worthwhile to have low taxes. A libertarian in me, I guess. Growth taxes modifier. So this is over time. Over time, this 7 will grow. And it'll grow by 8% every turn. So it'll take 11, 12 turns to get to 8, and so on. So this, if you keep it low. Now, if you don't keep it low, then and you switch to extraordinate, then you're going to go backwards. So it is beneficial for you to keep your taxes low and let that number grow. Build your economy. And that's not used. And that's the last one. Okay, so I made this a lot tighter. So you've got extraordinate, high, low, minimum, normal. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how much, I'll just sort it by value. So this is on your tax slider. We went over the growth and the happiness changes on the previous table. This is how much money you're going to get from your town. So your town is going to create a specific set of income. You're not going to get all that income. You're only going to get a certain percentage of that. So you're taxing your people this much. So from the very lowest, the slider will go as 12. The highest is 28%. There are modifiers, there are traits, the governor traits specifically, that increase the amount of taxes you get without changing the previous table modifiers, like without changing the happiness of the growth. So you can keep the happiness of the growth good. If you get a trait modifier, that'll increase it by, the governor traits are from 1 to 5%, depending on your farm income level of the province you become governor. There is, your Metsuke are massive. So I try to nerf them because the game really makes Metsuke very beneficial to be in your biggest moneymaker. You want your Metsuke in there. You want him to build up his overseeing town skill. And I'm not sure what the value is per overseeing towns. It's like 5% per 1 value. So if he has like 6, he's at 6 times 5%. So it could be 30%, and you see your base is like 12. So if you keep it at 12, the Metsuke, all he's got to do is have 6 value in overseeing towns, and he's adding, he's brought you up to 42%. Your governor brings you up, so you want to use all those tools too, because you're going to need it. That way I made this game. Everything's going to cost a lot of money. You're going to be working with a lot less than you do in regular game. Technology. So this is the base of the technology tree. This is where you can change the research points required. The icon name. So that's going to point to the icon that I created. Brilliant campaign. Yep, technologies. There's all the icons I created and uploaded. And this will... we're on the rise and fall of the samurai. This will point to it. Now, all of mine have the F in the middle. If you see a tech that does not have an F in the middle, it is not used on my campaign. Because I had to redo every single technology. So you can change the resource points required. If you think it's too much, too little, you can change that. If you want to create a new tech, you can do that too. Technology categories, we're not going to worry about that. Technology effects junction. So we'll sort this by tech. There we are. There's the ones with the F in it. There we got civil. And we got military. These are the effects of each technology. You can go through and adjust that however you like. Once you're done adjusting it, you click File, click Save. You load your game up. You select this mod. You're good to go. I'll explain that again at the end. This is... I thought I already went over this. Am I losing my mind here? Pretty sure I went over this. Oh, I went over the character skill nodes. This is for the technology. So my bad. Previously, those nodes were for the character skills. This is for the technology. So you've got your child key. That's the one below it. You've got your parent key. That's the one above it. Initial descent tiers. That's how many tiers the line drops. If it's right under, if it's tier right under, it'll be 0. If it's 200, it's 1. If it's 300, it's 2. Parent link position. 0 means right in the middle. The line connects to the parent or the child right in the middle. Or if you want the line to connect to the parent or the child to the right, +1, to the left, -1. This is where I moved everything away from the campaign. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so just like, man, I went over skills earlier thinking it was technology. But yeah, indent is value from far left is at 1, far right is at like 50, and any number you make, it's going to determine its left or right value. It's y-axis or x-axis. The tier top, it's going to start at 0 and work its way down. There will be a limit. Eventually, the icons will fall off your screen. Trade nodes, you can change the base quantity you get per trade node. Here we go. Here's. I was trying to find this earlier. This is the percentage increase. Okay, first of all, let's sort this by commodity. Not even gonna work. So these right here are the trade nodes in the main campaign. This is for the tutorial. This is for other campaigns. So you've got medicine, which is incense, silk, iron, incense. So you've got 2 incense nodes. Horses, cotton. This is the base quantity you get, how many bales or tons or whatever the value is when you take over the trade node. And this is the percentage increase per agent. Look at that. Well, I found a mistake. I missed that. That should be 0.5. Make a little note for myself here. Fix this when we're all done. Table code. So I mod it. Every time I want to change something, I create a notepad and start playing and
keep adding to that. So yeah, the base game makes it 0.85. So right now, one of the instance nodes will benefit from multiple ships. Now you only get 50% more per ship instead of 85% more. Maximum percentage increase. Not 100% sure how to explain that one. All right, traits. We're not doing traits. Not till the end. Part of traits. Uniform, faction colors. We went over all this already. Unit experience threshold. This is your battle units. How much XP that they require for the next level. Can I remember if I increased or decreased this? I increased it since my last change, but I can't remember if my last change was a decrease or not. But if you think your units level up too fast, you can increase all these numbers. If you think they don't level up fast enough, you can decrease all these numbers. That's naval and then land. So they're separated. Unit required technology junctions. So these are the only units in the game that require a technology. Most of the units require a building, and that building requires a technology. These units require a building and also a different a technology on top of that. So it makes them a little bit harder to get. Unit special abilities. So this goes over all your special abilities, your active time, how long the units, or the ability, the ability's active. How long it takes to recharge that ability. Number of uses, -1 means unlimited. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever you want to set it. The effective range, so not everything's going to have a range. It's got to be something that requires a range, like inspire unit. That should have a range. No. A range is going to be a range and radius, so like Warcry, I know, has a range of 30. You can increase that to 70. Affect self, whether this ability is going to affect you or not. Obviously, you don't want Warcry to affect you because that's a negative morale penalty. You want that to affect the enemy only. Number of friendly units affected. So if it's a buff, you like stand firm, you want it to affect friendly units. If you set this too high, the game could crash on you. So keep that in mind. Like Warcry, I set that to 10 one time. I was surrounded by a bunch of units. I hit Warcry, the game took a shit. So I'm sure you can increase it a little bit, but if you increase it too much, maybe it's just my game. My computer couldn't handle it, and yours can. Who knows? Initial recharge or shot. Okay, let's do shot type. So flaming arrows is going to change the projectile. So back in the projectiles tables, you can create your own arrow. And you could say, okay, this ability creates this arrow. And the second you hit that ability, it'll change the projectile to this. And it'll follow all the parameters you set. Updates target every frame. So only abilities that are active, like mostly Rise of the Samurai stuff. My cat's in the way. Oh. Let's see. Oh, whistling arrows, or no, we stand and fight. So this is stand and fight gives you plus melee and plus reload to all your troops around you in a radius. So if it's constant, it updates every frame, which means if they run out of the circle, they stop getting it. Initial recharge. This is when you start the match, how long it takes for this ability to be active initially. Okay, I maybe have missed shot type and projectile up. So this is your projectile. Shot type. It would be under shot type somewhere, which I don't have on this table. So you're probably going to have to add more to this pack if you want to change that. Can auto trigger. This is the auto trigger button. That you can right click in the game to make it auto trigger that ability.
unit stats lands table, and this one takes forever to load up. And I accidentally clicked on the wrong one, so let's click here. So this is a big table. This is gonna be where you modify your units stats. How many men that you've got in the unit, how many horses. Obviously this is for ultra size, so if you have this set to 80 and you don't do ultra size, it's gonna bring this number down. Officer, you can change what your officer's holding. Standard bearer, so you can get rid of a standard bearer. If you don't want Naginata Samurais to have that little Ashigaru dude holding the flag, you just erase it, click off of it. Now he doesn't have one. Soldier model, I would not change that. Man entity, this is back at the very beginning. Whenever battle entities that'll increase the speed, walk speed, run speed, the mass of your unit. You can create a new entity, and then there's an entity that I created, the horse and infantry entity. I can make any unit I want become that fast, that massive. Animations. So the only reason you'd want to change the animations is if you're changing a unit's weapon, because this animation is going to determine, whether they're going to be swinging a rifle like a sword, or holding it up against their shoulder like a rifle. Equipment theme is in Warscape equipment themes, so this will remove equipment to like a sword or a gun or a rocket and a sword, or you can go into the Warscape equipment themes and create your own equipment setup and then select it from here. Armor, this is how much armor your unit has, the base armor that it starts with. Health, this literally adds another health to your unit, so I would not increase that because it kind of makes them OP. So if they get hit with an arrow, now they have to get hit with 2 arrows now. So if you're trying to create a unit that's super small that you don't want to be hit with arrows, you make the man health really high, but I mean it also buffs defense up. So mount model mount entities. So there's actual entities for mounts as well. Which I can't remember if that's I think it's in battle entities as well. So you can put the battle entity for the mount here. The model is it's pulling from the models, which I don't do horse models. So if you do, that's where you apply to the unit. Mount animations. This is the animation for your mount. You can do separate armor for your mount. So you can make your unit have low armor, your mount have high armor. So if you're on your mount, you're armored. You hop off, you're not. Or vice versa. Mount health, you can make your horses more health, and that might actually be beneficial because they get mowed down by arrows, and cavalry are already kind of weak in this game. Artillery model, whether it's a siege gun or not. Primary missile, what type of missile it is. You get your marksmanship, is your accuracy, your loading. I don't think primary missile attack's used. Yeah, there's no attack value for missiles. It's actually damage value in the projectiles table. Firing mechanism. So just if you're making an arrow unit, just copy the closest unit to it on this. Default missile type. This is under projectiles tables. So we went over projectiles tables earlier. This is how you add a new projectile. Ammunition. How much ammo your guy has. Got your melee. I'm reading up at the top here. It's your melee charge bonus. Dismounted melee. So dismounted stuff's only for cavalry units. It changes their stats when you hop off the horse. Melee defense. Their shield bonus is not used in this game. Pistols is not in the main campaign. Unit training levels, so that increases or decreases the formation tightness. So if they are elite, they are very close together in formation. And if they are poorly trained, they're scattered out like a mob of peasants. Morale, changes the morale of the unit. And then rank depth, all of these next values is going to change how close they are together on the X and Y axis, how many ranks deep they are. This is an important one. Melee bonus versus cavalry. This gives you a bonus. So this will give your unit a bonus if they're facing up against cavalry. So mainly your Yari units, your light cav have a little bit of a bonus. Your Yari cav have a really big bonus. So they're going to be better taking out other cavalry units. So these booleans are a yes or no. I mean, basically you're checking this box or you're not for each ability, whether the unit has grenades. So like Firebomb Thurs, your ninjas are going to have grenades. Skirmish, whether they can click that skirmish button or not. Guard mode, whether they click the guard mode. Can dismount. Obviously all your cavalry units are going to need to be able to dismount. Can place stakes. I'm not sure if that's used. Cannot run, so your fire rockets. What? Oh, that is interesting. I wonder if that even does anything, because the Hojo fire rockets apparently can't run, but the regular ones can. So I know I didn't change that. That has got to be in the base game. Can rally, that's going to be for your general. And while we're here, I'm going to go over. Oh, I deleted it. So it'll say on your base game, it'll say General Taisho. The reason I deleted it is because I've got a bodyguards mod that mods that specific general. Whether you want to use it or not, you can download my bodyguards mod. Or if you don't download my bodyguards mod, it pulls from the just vanilla bodyguard. But there's a bunch of there's a list of generals in the data pack, and then General Taisho is what is the unit that generals use in the main campaign. Spot distance. This is how far away you will spot somebody in a tree, in shrubbery, in long grass. Can't map stealth. You probably don't want to check this. This makes your unit automatically enter stealth mode no matter what. I do have a trait in the game, a wife trait, that will give your general that ability. So it doesn't matter where they're at, they're always going to be in stealth mode. It's actually kind of OP, but the AI can get it too. So discipline, I'm not sure what that does. Scarce horses, do not check scarce horses. It works. Fear effect. Let's see. Inspire. I would not do either of these because it's not fun going up against another enemy and they just start taking off running. Fatigue resistant, so this gives them more resistance to fatigue. Obviously, all your cav are going to have that. They're horses. They're a lot more. They got a lot more stamina than humans do. Actually, that's not really true. Humans can have a lot more stamina. Siege ladders, heat resistant, cold resistant. I don't know what that does. I'd be really mad if that makes them resistant to fatigue or no. What's it called? Attrition. Because I tried to figure out attrition, and this doesn't work. Is immune. Actually, this does work. Is immune to attrition. It doesn't work on ships. For some reason, it does not work on ships. Oh, because ships are in unit unit stats navals tables. They're here, and they don't have an immune to attrition category to select. But the black ship is immune to attrition. I spent probably an entire day trying to get my Japanese warship immune to attrition, and I failed. Can fire mounted whilst moving. So that's I think your bows don't do that. I think your Tokugawa mounted gunners will do that. All ranks fire. So obviously are your bows. Or basically everyone's going to shoot. There's no restriction. Your guns, there's a restriction for your back ranks, because obviously they'll shoot the front ranks in the back of the head if they do that. There's all your audio stuff. Then we've got some more booleans here. Can climb fast. Can climb fast will let the unit you select this will be able to run up the wall without taking any casualties from falls, and they will climb up the wall really fast. Can fire at buildings. If you want to make guns to be able to shoot at a tower, you want to check this. Though I don't know it's going to do much good. You got to be able to your projectiles got to be able to do some damage to buildings. Armor piercing missile attack I don't believe is used. Armor piercing melee attack is used. I think ninjas get that, and then all my legendaries get that. Means your melee attacks ignore armor. Loose formation, whether you want to give the unit ability to go loose, the loose formation, then this is the value of the loose formation. This is the spacing. And bulletproof, this was added when the bulletproof samurais were added. Pretty sure this just adds a armor value. Alright, I'm going to skip over enables because there's a ton of stuff in there and I don't ever edit it. Unit to unit abilities. Okay, so this is if you want to add... I showed you how to enable abilities, and then you can go into effects and create an effect to make that effect enable the ability. Well, this gives that ability to specific units. So you'll pick a unit you want to give an ability to. Oh, well, I sorted it by unit, so there you are. And we'll give it suppression fire. Or whatever ability you want to give it to. Units tables. So this is where your category and class is. So on your effects, when you're picking category and class, you can come to your units table and sort by category and class and see all the units that are in the category or class. Multiplayer cost is how much costs multiplayer. Multiplayer late cost. I don't play multiplayer enough, so I don't know what the difference of those two is. Create time. This is how much time it takes to create this unit. And by the way, this is the base table for the unit. So when you're creating a unit, you do this first. Do this, then you work on unit stats, permissions, all that stuff. Upkeep costs, campaign action movement points. So how many movement points how far they'll travel on the campaign map by themselves. Your total cap. Multiplayer apparently has got a separate category. Armed citizenry. So if you're creating a new garrison unit that has to have, like I created all my legendaries, I created a garrison unit, you have to have this checked. And not only do you have to go up and add it to garrison, you have to have this checked. Now, if you're just moving around normal garrison units, they're always going to have this checked. If you want to make like a Katana Hero a garrison unit, pretty sure you have to come back and check this armed citizenry. If you don't, I don't know if it'll crash or if it won't work, or maybe I'm wrong. But additional building level requirement. Powder maker. So this is a new ship I made. It requires you to have a powder maker, which is the level 2 siege building, and it requires you to have the wood resource, so you can add additional building requirements for units. So up in your building units allowed, where you set your where you set what building you recruit a unit from, and then you can also change it here to add an additional requirement. I probably shouldn't have recorded this shit at 9 in the morning. Well, it's 11 now. This is to add a unit recruitment movie. There's obviously a bunch of unit recruitment movies. You can add that if you wish, and then the rest of it's... Oh, another thing, unique index. Make sure when you're creating a new unit, you make a unique number. It's not the same as any... Make a completely new number. Exclusive faction permissions. So, sorted by faction here. So, this is the unit. This is the faction. This is whether the faction is allowed to have that unit or not. There's 2 permissions. There is groupings permission. So, first of all, it's got to be in Japan or Iko-Iki or Rebels. This is going to allow you to play that unit. Once you have it in there, then you can restrict certain units. Or you can, if you don't put it in here and just check a specific unit, then that's the only unit that can get it. So, like, let's say these match like Samurai Hattori. Let's see if they're in here. They're not in here because only the Hattori are allowed having these units. Cat's freaking out on me. So this is where you set your unit permission, whether you make a unit unique to that faction or not. And then if you have it on here and you have it unchecked, that means every other faction but the one you have unchecked, the ones you have unchecked will be able to recruit it. So my legendary units, I made all the main factions not be able to recruit this unit. So if you want to recruit this from a level 3 region speciality, all you have to do is come in here, highlight all my legendary units. This. And then hit the delete key on your keyboard. And hit save, and now you can recruit all of... Because I have the recruitment requirements to recruit from the level 3 specialty building in each province. Now when you take over a province, you'll be able to recruit it. When you create a new unit, you have to at least... The bare minimum, if you want everybody to be able to recruit your new unit, you have to add it here. And give it a military group... This is your rebels, whether you want your rebels to be able to recruit it. This is Rise of the Samurai. This is the Iko-Iki. This is the main campaign. That's a multiplayer. All right. This is just new equipment that I created for my legendary units. But you can mess around with that. It's not too important. I'm going to dig right into... I'm going to close out of this. Okay. I don't want to mess up my main mod. All right, let's go into... What do we want to do first? Let's do traits. Those are probably... Actually, let's do experience first. So experience. This is how much experience points your general earns. Now, in order to edit that, you have to edit the value here. That's the easy part, obviously. But you also have to go into the script. So we've got export experience.lua. This is the script. You can either click on it You can click on it. You can edit it here. I do not recommend that you do. Actually, you know what? If you're just changing the value, you just edit it here. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. Now, usually you would right-click it and extract selected, and then you would pull it up. Mine go here when extracted. So you pull up export experience. I open it with Notepad++. So let's keep this open and let's go back to experience triggers. So let's just do the F Daimyo trigger. I created obviously a bunch of triggers. So let's Control F Daimyo. There it is. So this part right here, the top part where the green is in brackets, this is the name of the trigger itself. And where did you go? All right. So this is the name of the trigger. This is the value. Okay, this is from here, the name of the trigger all the way to end. This little bit here is going to tell the game how I want this trigger to work. So if we meet these conditions, character type general, and conditions, character in the building of chain castle, which is every province, so you have to be in the building, and conditions is faction leader. So this only applies to the faction leader, and not conditions. This is the other campaign. That's not as important. Effect. So if they meet all those conditions, then the effect will be this trigger. So you'll take the same trigger, bring it down here, and it's going to give you 10 XP. So the event, I should have started there. The event is character turn end. So when you hit end turn, if they meet all these conditions, then it will give you this effect. The Daimyo trigger is set to 10, and it's set to 10 here. Now, if you want to change this to, well, you probably won't do that, but if you want to change to 12, you have to change it on both things. Now, if you've exported it, you're going to have to import it back, but if you just click on this here, scroll down to where it says Daimyo, and there's a lot of these, so it might take you a while to find it. You'll have to change it in both places, basically. So you can go through and adjust the experience however you like. Let's see, there's a few. There's like a not home trigger. For the ninja. Here we go, bold. So there's a bold trigger. It's all right, let's look at the conditions. Okay, so the event is we end turn, and then if they meet this condition, they are a general. They have been in the enemy lands greater than one turn. They have the trait bold, so I've got a separate trigger for bold, and that we'll go over that next. That's under traits. So if they have this trait bold, and they've been an enemy, they're a general, and they've been in enemy lands over one turn, they will get this XP trigger, which gives them 12 XP. Okay, I think I pretty much explained that. XP is pretty easy. It's really not that bad. Traits are a little bit more complicated. Traits you're going to have to create. You're going to have to go into the text and create a name for them. You can do a description for them. The very first thing you're going to have to do is go to the trait info table. You're going to have to hit add new row, name your trait, make it agent, save the game, save the pack file, close out of it, open it back up, and you're going to go up to, there's 4 tables you got to edit. And you're going to go up to character traits tables. This is no going back level press. I don't change this. So I add a new line, and then your trait should be on the drop down list. As long as you've closed out of pack file manager and then reloaded it back up, your new trait will be in the pack file or the list. Make that one dummy, save save the whole pack file, close out of it, load it back up a second time. Then you're going to go into here. So what you're doing now is you can make one trait different levels. You can make, one, like this is there's a bunch in the base game, like Drunkard has like 5 levels, or you can, there's your level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Oh, here we go. I did it on Battles 1. So I made a trait where we'll get to the script part, but I made a script where every time you win a battle, it gives you 1 point. The threshold for win battles is 5. So once you hit 5 points, you will earn this trait. And this is the first level of the trait, and it'll say when you attach your text to the traits, you actually attach it to the level itself. So the trait itself will save 5 victories, and then when you get level 2, when you get to 10, you'll get 10 victories, and so on. Now you can make in the script, you can make the value higher than 1, and then this higher. So I hope I explained that right. Okay, so once you create your new, if you're just doing one simple trait with one value, you'll add a row. This is your drop down box. This is where your trait that you created at the beginning is going to be. Then you're going to do threshold points. You could set that. Your level, obviously, you're going to at least start with level 1. If you want to add more levels, you can. You don't have to. Your key is going to be what you're going to use in the script. So usually you just want to take the name of your trait and then add an underscore level 1, level 2, level 3, whatever. If there's just one level, you just add an underscore. And then your script is going to be down under export triggers LUA. Same thing. I've actually got it already pulled up. So here is the triggers for traits. So I have over 100 traits, and I have spent weeks building traits, probably months building traits in these scripts. So I'm just going to simply go over one of the scripts so you kind of get an idea of how it works so you can make your own. So obviously we got the name of the trigger. Oh, sorry. Let's go down to triggers. Trigger effects. So that's 1, 2. Before I get to this, let's go to there. We got trait info. That was the first table. We've got character traits. That's the second table. Trait levels. That's the third table. The fourth table. Effects. So this is going to add effects to your trait. The text table is going to be under character trait levels, or I have 2 tables here. I have the F4 character trait levels as well. You'll go in, and this has got your character levels. So it's got character traits, levels, color, text. This is the description of your trait. And then character trait levels, on-screen name. This is the name of your trait. All right. Once you do all that, your level effects, you give your trait an effect. Now you want to be able to trigger this trait. Otherwise, no general is going to earn your trait. So we've got ID tags over here. So you're going to hit add row. Let's go next in order. Let's do 48. You're gonna do the drop down box. You're gonna pick your trait. And what I like to do is just Control C, Control V, copy paste, and then just put trigger. All right, so once you have your trigger, that's what you're gonna put in brackets. So let's say we want to make a new trigger, and we want to make it nice and easy. We'll hit copy, paste. All right, so now we got 2 prudent triggers, but we want to take our new trigger, so we'll copy this. We'll paste it here. We'll copy this, the actual trait. We'll paste it there. All right, so now we're at the actual event. I'm deleting this because now we're at the actual event. events, character turn end. So anytime you hit end turn, there's for traits I have character end turn, character becomes daimyo, character becomes sun, I think, and then character created. And I have different traits for different ones. So, and it gets complicated. The bigger you get, it gets complicated. So let's see. Let's look at prudent. So character turn end. If conditions, characters are general, and conditions, character is in the building chain of archery. So if you hit end turn and your general is in a chain, an archery chain, and not conditions has general archer. So if your general already has this trait, you cannot earn this trait. That's the and not extravagant, and not, and I keep adding and adding and adding traits. So I want traits that are not going to go with that trait. You know, if somebody is patient, they're not also going to be impulsive. So you cannot have, you don't want to make a trigger that's going to allow a general to have both of those traits. Now, when you create 150 traits, you have to go through each individual one and compare it against those 150 traits. And it is tedious as hell. So if you want to add a new trait to my mod, you can follow all those steps, create the trigger, search through my triggers and look at conditions that, you know, may be unique. Like this one, characters older than 61. This is the elder trait. So no general is going to earn this until they're at least 61. Then they're going to get the effect of the trait that you have set. And okay, this is how many points they're going to get. And this is the chance. So they have a 5% chance after ending the turn, as long as they're over 61, to get one point in the elder trigger, or in the elder trait. So if you go to character trait levels and we look for elder, how many points does it take to earn the actual trait? And of course I've got there it is, age elder. It takes 1 point. So 5% chance every turn after 61 to get the elder trait, to get that 1 point, which will get you the level that you need. Now, some, like the Battles 1, requires you to get it 5 times. There is... you just have to play around with it. But that's how you create a new trigger for a trait. And then you can... The easiest way to do that... I hate telling you this, but I'd rather you export it out, pull it up with Notepad, delete this, and then add the file back in. That way, because this is hard to read, man. You use Notepad Plus, and it kind of sorts everything out for you, and it kind of notifies you when your code's bonk. I think that is about it. We've got some music and sound effects here. This was really simple. All I did was found out where the music was located, and I created that exact file path, and I made the sound of my music, or the name of my music, the exact same name that Creative Assembly has made theirs, and Mono has overwritten it. All right, I had to take a lunch break there. I was talking a little too much. I'm going to go over something I missed. I forgot to go over. So the trigger effects in the script, which I have closed out of. Let's open it back up. Triggers, Notepad plus. All right. So in the actual trigger itself, it's got the value, the point value that it's going to give you, and it's got the percentage chance that it'll trigger if all those conditions are met. this needs to match on the triggers table. It needs to match the value and chance here. So if you're creating a new trigger, make sure, or if you're changing one of my triggers, make sure that you change it in the script and you also change it here. Now, if you're just updating mine, like I said, you just click on the trigger, you find it. It's probably easier just to change, something here. What I want to show you now, let's see, let me open this. I'm going to show you how to export the triggers and bring them back in. So you're going to extract selected. So if you want to do the experience script or the triggers, extract selected. That is going to put it in a folder. Now, this is the problem, is I set this up so long ago, I don't know if it's going to be the same folder path. Mine created a folder called First under Total War Shogun 2. If not, you should be able to use the search function under Windows and try to find this file name and figure out where to put it. Once you open it up, and you don't have to use Notepad++, you can just use regular Notepad. It's better to use ++ if you can get it. It's a small program, but this works just as well. If you're creating whole new traits, I would definitely get ++. It's just a better program all around. So once you make all the changes you want and you save this, you need to get this script file, this here, back onto this pack. So what you're going to do is delete this. You can scroll the way up to the top. Right click, add files. Export triggers. You'll see it right there in green. You save it. And then it brings it right back down here. So this will save all the changes you made to it. Okay. Now I want to go over, there's one more script. Let me double check down here. Okay, so this script is the main menu flybys. I removed all of the modern flybys with like the trains and stuff like that, since my campaign is mainly set in the Sengoku Judai period, or however you pronounce it. But if you want to just delete this, it'll go back to default flyby cameras in the beginning. All right, so the scripting LUA, this is your intro script, and this is actually, you'll go into campaigns. You'll basically follow the same path here. So campaigns, Shogun, and there it is. And I've actually already got it open up here, I believe. There it is. Okay, so I change a little bit on this script. I changed the names of the buildings because I changed the ports. See what you can do with this one. Okay, so not all, but some factions, when you start up, there's a rebel army that you've got to take out. Like I know the Chusakabe and then the Date, there's a rebel army. Depending on the difficulty you have selected, it will choose from one of these forces. So if you want to make the beginning rebel army stronger or weaker, you can add specific units to this script. And the best way to do that, and with the other script, when you've got like when you've got building chains tables, like your triggers for your traits, when you want it to trigger when you're in a province with a specific building chain, go to your building chains tables and just copy this and paste it there. So we're going to do the same thing with the units tables. We're just going to go down to units. And let's say we want, let's just say we want cannons. We'll copy cannons.
And we want very hard. Let's see, paste, backspace, put a comma and a space. No space. And if we save this, and you do a very hard campaign, and you do one of the factions that start with a rebel army, now they're going to have European cannons to start out. That would be pretty interesting. All right, the next thing you can change is the starting missions, and here it shows the faction name, saying it's for the missions. So you've got the first mission. The only thing I really changed is the rewards. So I made it so every faction, some factions start with agents, so those got different missions, but the ones that don't start with agents, I made it so their first mission gave them an agent. So every faction that you play, you'll start with one agent. And the units. So the second mission. I think this one's this one's way of the bow. So once you master way of the bow, it was going to give you some generic bow samurai. Well, that's kind of boring. So I made most of these hero units. So if you master the first time you master way of the bow with the Chisakabe, it's going to award you with a bow hero unit. If you want to change that to a legendary unit, you can. You'll just go to units. Go down to where my legendary units are. Oh, probably sort it by name first. There they are. We're the Chusakabe, so let's give us the Tosa Samurai, the Dojo or the Garrison. So we don't want to give them a Garrison unit to run around with. We'll give them the normal ones. And I'm just going to double click, Control V, backspace, and that's telling it you want it at the capital. So now if I save that and I get way of the bow, I'm going to be awarded with the new legendary unit that I created. Effect bundle P -research. So this is under your effect bundles tables. Let's go to effect bundles to effects. So I don't have the basic vanilla ones on here, but these are the ones I created for the new dilemmas. But basically the basic vanilla ones will have a bunch of bundles. And it's just going to point to that bundle. And then the number sign and then how many turns. So if you want to make your own, you can make you can change it to whatever bundle effect. I believe this is 50% research or 100% research. Or for 12 turns, you can make that 24, 48, however many you want. Got Oda. So the only clan that I couldn't do all the missions on was the Automo. I think they're at the very end. For some reason, there's only the first mission here. So I just made it research. I buffed it 36 turns of the research. So since they're not getting a special unit, they're not getting... they already start with an agent, a missionary agent. So I gave them a little bit of buffed mission there. What else? There's one more thing that was kind of cool on here. Okay, becoming Shogun. So the army you get, if you're familiar, once you become Shogun, you get a Great Guard and 2 Yard Cavalry. They'll sit right next to Kyoto. And you can change that to whatever units you want. I did, and then the same thing with the ships. The ships spawn out right in the bay. I did change this, so you've got the hero ship, or the hero ship that you usually got, and then usually got just 2 generic ships. I actually added the warship, the Japanese warship, and the Red Seal ship. And my Red Seal ship is basically a carbon copy of the Nanban trade ship, so it's got cannons and all that. So I made that very strong. And I probably should go and change this to something cool, but I don't know. We won't worry about it. So
that's that. And then same thing. You save it, and then you delete this. Then you right click, add files, attach the file, save the whole pack file, and then you're good. The very last thing I want to go over is the Startpos. This looks a lot more complicated than it is. So you just follow the path I'm going here. World. So faction array, you've got all 48 factions. Your first 12 factions, if you just drop down and click, it'll show you somewhere. Maybe you just click on that. Nope. That's got to show you. Oh, right there, Oda. All right. So if you want to edit the Oda faction, Hojo, Shimazu, I'm looking right up here. Mori. Okay, so you get the gist there. The first 12 are the main factions. Then you can go through and edit. It doesn't say who they are, so you got to go through them one by one if you want to edit any other factions. So in here, you can character array. If you open up each character, click on the character, it shows, okay, this is a general. I don't know if this is the daimyo yet. I'm going to open up traits. Okay, this is the daimyo, I think. Yeah. So you can add starting traits, and basically how you do that, if you want the Mori's daimyo to start with a different trait, you'll go down to trait info tables. You'll have a list of all the new traits, or old traits, whichever trait you want. You copy it, and then you paste it here. And then that general will start with that trait. This is a minister. This is either a son or a wife. Probably a son because he has no traits. Son. Okay, this is a wife. So this trait, I don't have a trigger for this trait. So I have this on both of the Mori daimyo and then his eldest son, the heir. Both of their wives have this trait, and they're the only two that are going to have this trait in the game. So I did not create a trigger for this. These are unique to them. But you can give the wives any trait you want by doing this. All right, so that's all I changed there in faction arrays. Let's see what else we got. We've got manager, region manager. This one's a bit more complicated because there's 67 regions. Now, I think there's only 65 provinces or 64 provinces, but some of these are like the Nanban and pirates, which are having like invisible. They spawn out of thin air. But this is the region. You can kind of get the gist of, here they are, the Saito. Okay, the Saito start here. So, we don't do traits. So settlement, is this where we go? No. Here it is, region slot manager. So this is where you can go through and change okay, here we go. So the first 5 of these, I believe, are probably blank. Yeah, so these are the building slots. So only the major factions in Kyoto start out with any buildings in the major slots. See, it's counting up. Generic 4. Okay, so this is the actual castle. So if you go to building manager, building, This province starts with the level 1 fort. You can have this province start with a higher level castle if you want. All you have to do is go to the building levels tables here. Copy one of the building or one of the castles. Obviously, if you put something that's not a castle in this slot, it's probably going to crash the game. But if you want to upgrade the castle, you can change that here. And then this is the road. This is the farm. Now, some of these will have array 8 for like specialty province, and you can change a faction specialty province. However, if you change the faction specialty province from, say, lumber to stone, it will change the specialty, but the icon will stay as lumber, and I have no idea how to change that icon. I spent way too long doing that. But you can have this province start with a leveled up farm. Now, this is what I did with I'm not going to search through them, but this is what I did with the 12 regions, the 12 capital regions. Is I located the regions, and then I had them start out with a specialty building, that only that province can get, and can only upgrade to that specific building. But if you want to change that at all, you can. This is how you do it. There's also the only other thing with changing the Startpos is going to be, you could change like the character starting age. I don't know what you would want to do that. I think that's probably back where you're editing the characters where the traits were. You can change the how many turns per year is also changed in this, but honestly, I cannot remember for the life of me where it was. All right, so that's it. If you guys have any questions, the best place to reach me is on Steam. Just add me as a friend, and I'll friend you back, and you can ask me anything you want. Thanks. Bye.